Chosen one, you're walking into fulfillment. This is it. This is the season your soul has been craving. This is the hour that destiny unlocks its arms and welcomes you in. The pain you've endured, the delays you've survived, the long, lonely nights where you questioned your value, they were all leading here. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. You are being called forward. Fulfillment isn't something arriving someday. It is happening now, in this very moment, and you are walking straight into it. Not by luck, not by accident, by divine orchestration. Every closed door was an arrow pointing you toward this direction. Every no was a redirection into your yes. You've arrived at the intersection where effort meets energy, where who you are finally aligns with what you're meant to have. Before we go deeper, I ask you to watch this video until the end. Take this moment to center yourself, breathe in the energy that brought you here, and write your warmest wishes and the number 99 in the comments. This is a chapter about wishes coming true and energizing the universe. Your wish holds more weight right now than ever before. Say it out loud. Let it move. Let it manifest. You've been tested. You've been molded. You've been misunderstood by everyone except the calling inside you. But the calling didn't give up, and neither did you. That's why fulfillment is not a distant fantasy. It's your immediate reality, not something to chase, not something to beg for, something that is already unfolding in front of your eyes. It doesn't need you to do more. It needs you to believe more. Fulfillment doesn't require hustle right now. It requires alignment. And you, chosen one, are aligned. You are vibrating in the right frequency. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. Think about how many times you were overlooked, pushed aside, doubted. You held it in. You carried the weight. You forgave what was unforgivable. You healed what should have broken you. And now the reward for your resilience is knocking. There's no need to force it open. It's not a locked door. It's a sliding gate that opens as you walk. Fulfillment isn't behind you. It's not above you. And it's no longer far ahead. It's beneath your feet with every step. Each move forward affirms it. Each decision made in alignment brings it closer into view. And you can feel it. The shift, the subtle unraveling of delay, the quiet hum of destiny coming alive again. You don't need external validation for this. You don't need permission. You don't need proof. You are the proof. Your journey, the scars, the silence, the self-discipline, have all qualified you for this next chapter. Fulfillment doesn't come for the loud. It comes for the aligned. You're not just receiving fulfillment, you are becoming it. You are embodying what it means to walk in purpose, to be synchronized with the divine timeline. People might start acting different around you. Some may pull back, others may get nervous. That's what happens when the light shifts in your favor. You don't have to explain your glow. You don't have to water down your momentum. Fulfillment doesn't require shrinking. It asks for expansion. You're not walking into this moment to fit in. You're walking in to take up the space that was already yours before anyone else even saw it. This isn't a coincidence. This isn't a phase. This is your culmination. The dreams that never let you rest. The goals that stayed burning even when everything fell apart. They are blooming now. Right now, not in theory, in action. You're not here to revisit old pain. You're here to embrace new power. Every time you chose to stay silent when you were being underestimated, you were stacking energy for this moment. Now, the energy is releasing. Now, the gates are opening. Now, the inner and outer, you are becoming one. It's not just about arriving, it's about owning. Owning the fact that you've evolved. owning the truth that you've outgrown who you used to be. You're not playing small anymore because your spirit is too expansive for a cage. The door is open and you're walking in. Not crawling, not begging. Walking, head up, shoulders back, peace radiating through your posture. You don't need anyone to hand you fulfillment. You are the fulfillment. You are the answered prayer. You are the promise becoming flesh. The prophecy turning real. Let them talk. Let them speculate. Fulfillment doesn't come with instructions. It comes with revelation. And the revelation you've been carrying is finally speaking for itself. You've been hidden for long enough, buried in the background, misunderstood in your preparation. But now, you're the main character. The moment has come where the light can't ignore you anymore. Fulfillment does not require force. It requires faith, and you've got plenty of it. You're not trying to prove yourself anymore. You're just living the proof. You're not demanding opportunities. You're attracting alignment. Fulfillment doesn't knock like a stranger. It arrives like a friend who always knew you were coming. You're walking into a room that's already been prepared for you. Every delay made the setup better. Every heartbreak cleared the distractions. Every loss taught you what truly matters. And now what truly matters is showing up in your life. You're not the same person who started the journey. You've evolved. Your mindset, your energy, your boundaries, your standards, all have risen. And that rise is why you're able to see what others can't. You see potential in places others overlook. You feel the pull of purpose where others hear silence. That's because you're tuned in. Fulfillment is frequency, and you're finally tuned to the channel that plays your soul's song. Stay there, stay aligned, stay elevated, because what's coming next will not be small. You've stepped into the kind of life that doesn't require convincing. It reveals itself. Watch how doors open before you knock. Watch how people appear before you search. Watch how resources land before you even pray. This is the beauty of walking into fulfillment. It meets you at your frequency. You've already done the hard part, the waiting, the wondering, the working. Now it's time to receive, to inhale all that you deserve, to step with grace into the life that once felt like a faraway dream. But it's not far anymore. It's here. You're walking in it now. Welcome to the season of fulfillment, chosen one. There's a calm that comes over you when you're walking into what's meant for you. Not because everything makes sense, but because everything starts to align. You no longer need to be convinced, because something inside of you already knows. Fulfillment doesn't always show up in fanfare. Sometimes it slips into your life in the smallest moments. A new level of peace, a deeper breath, a conversation that finally feels true. These aren't coincidences. These are confirmations. And you, chosen one, are in the flow of them. Have you noticed how people respond to your presence lately? Some are drawn to you and don't know why. Others are uncomfortable without understanding what's changed. The shift you're experiencing is invisible to many, but undeniable to you. That's how you know it's real. Fulfillment doesn't beg for attention. It emanates. It shows up in your posture, in your voice, in the way you walk into a room without needing to shrink. You're no longer apologizing for who you are. You're no longer filtering your vision to make others comfortable. And that, in itself, is evidence of alignment. The universe has been rearranging everything behind the scenes to meet the clarity you found within yourself. And now, what used to be resistance is becoming flow. What used to be confusion is turning into certainty. You're not searching for the path. You're walking it, one step at a time, one moment of trust after another. You don't need to sprint. You don't need to catch up. Fulfillment is not running away from you. It's walking beside you. You're discovering how powerful it feels to be rooted, to be planted in your own identity. You're not comparing anymore. You're not doubting your own rhythm. You've stopped measuring your journey by someone else's results. You've stepped into the rare awareness that your timing is not late, it's perfect. The things that didn't happen before weren't a punishment. They were a form of divine protection. And now, because you honored the delay, because you didn't rush the blooming, the arrival will be greater than what you imagined. You've outgrown needing to be seen by everyone, because now you know you only need to be aligned with what's meant for you. And when you are, the right things come, the right people stay, the right energy stays consistent. Fulfillment doesn't come with chaos. It doesn't come with drama. It comes with peace, with certainty, with joy that doesn't need to be loud to be real. When you wake up in the morning now, there's a softness around the edges of the day. Your spirit isn't heavy with pressure anymore. You're not haunted by the thought of failure. You know that you've already succeeded, not because of the results, but because of the alignment. You chose to trust when you had every reason to give up. You chose to listen to the whisper inside instead of the noise outside. That choice created a path, and that path led here. You are now living inside the consequence of your courage. The past no longer has a grip on you. It used to define how you moved, how you spoke, how you expected things to turn out. But not anymore. The moment you stepped into your truth, you broke the contract with fear. You no longer expect the worst. You no longer brace for disappointment. Instead, you prepare for overflow, for beauty, for increase. Because fulfillment doesn't show up to tease you. It comes to complete you. Yes, there will still be unknowns. Yes, there will still be moments of doubt. But you now move differently. You know how to talk to yourself through the uncertainty. You know how to hold space for the part of you that still gets scared. But fear no longer makes your decisions. Faith does. Alignment does. And that's why everything is shifting. Not because the world is changing, but because you are. You're being called to receive now. Not just emotionally, but practically. To say yes to what supports your expansion. To walk away from what subtracts from your peace. You no longer have the energy to maintain what drains you. Fulfillment comes with clarity. Clarity on who you are. Clarity on where you're going. And more importantly, clarity on what you will no longer tolerate. You've carried enough. You've waited long enough. You've done the inner work. Now it's time for that inner transformation to be reflected externally. You'll begin to notice new doors opening, not because you knocked louder, but because you vibrate differently. The universe reads your energy now and responds in kind. It matches you. And because you've changed, your external world has no choice but to catch up. That's the secret nobody talks about, that the outer world is a mirror to your inner world. And you've spent months, maybe years, cleaning that mirror, rewriting the narrative, breaking the cycles, learning the difference between survival and living. Now you're not surviving anymore. You're creating, you're manifesting, you're becoming. It feels different because it is different. You're no longer walking around trying to find out who you are. You've found it. And now, the world is rearranging to match that knowing. The right people are noticing. The right offers are appearing. The right energies are finally resonating. This is not random. This is the rhythm of fulfillment. You've become too powerful to go unnoticed. Your light is too strong to dim. Your frequency is too high to be ignored. You used to whisper your worth. Now you embody it. You used to question your value. Now you radiate it. That's what fulfillment does. It doesn't shout. It simply becomes undeniable. And in this season, chosen one, you will be undeniable, not just to others, but to yourself. You will look in the mirror and see someone who didn't give up, someone who turned pain into purpose, someone who made peace with the past and power with the future, someone who is no longer waiting to be chosen, but walking boldly in the truth that they already were. Keep walking, keep breathing, keep rising, because fulfillment is not ahead of you anymore. You're in it. And the rest of the journey is about learning how to receive what you've always deserved. There comes a point on the path where the old you fades, not because you push them away in anger, but because you've evolved into someone who no longer fits in outdated patterns. You wake up and realize you've stopped rehearsing pain. You've stopped reciting limitation. You've stopped watering what you've outgrown. That's not arrogance. That's growth. Fulfillment doesn't cling to comfort. It invites you to rise beyond it. And you, chosen one, have risen. This chapter of your life is quieter, but more powerful. You're not trying to convince anyone anymore. You're not proving. You're not chasing. There's no longer a need to rush or perform. You've arrived in the frequency where fulfillment unfolds organically, not as a transaction, but as a transformation. Your presence begins to speak louder than your explanations. Your energy begins to deliver what words never could. This is what walking into fulfillment feels like, a gentle unraveling of everything that once weighed you down. You'll notice how things that once made you anxious now feel neutral. People who used to drain you no longer hold space in your spirit. Conversations that once left you doubting now only echo with clarity. This is the purification of purpose. It's what happens when your spirit and your steps finally agree. No more inner tug of war. No more self-betrayal, disguised as loyalty to old versions of yourself. You don't need to keep pretending you're unsure when deep down you know exactly who you are. That mask you wore, the one built from years of people-pleasing and survival mode, it's no longer necessary. You're finally in a place where truth doesn't scare you. You're not afraid of being seen anymore, because now being seen doesn't threaten you, it reflects you. The more you walk into fulfillment, the more you walk in truth. And the more you walk in truth, the lighter you become. There is a divine lightness to fulfillment. Not because everything is easy, but because everything is aligned. You stop forcing. You stop controlling. You begin to flow. And that flow carries you into spaces you never imagined you'd reach. Rooms you once felt unworthy of now feel like home. People you once thought were ahead of you are now walking beside you, or even behind, because your inner work has elevated you. And it shows. This is the moment where you become magnetic, where your energy becomes a beacon, not for attention, but for alignment. What's meant for you doesn't need to be summoned. It finds you. People start saying, "I don't know why, but I felt like I needed to talk to you." They don't understand it, but you do. It's the fulfillment showing up in your field. It's the evidence of your evolution becoming visible. You no longer make space for things that feel off. You no longer entertain half-hearted energies. You've come too far. You've healed too much. You've sacrificed too deeply. Fulfillment doesn't allow you to settle. It pulls you into integrity, into wholeness, into self-honoring. That's why you've started saying no with confidence. That's why your standards are higher now. Not because you're better than anyone, but because you're finally aligned with the truth of what you deserve. And sometimes, yes, That truth can be lonely. Fulfillment doesn't always come with a crowd. Often, it comes in solitude. But not the kind that isolates, the kind that awakens, the kind that lets you hear your own spirit without interruption, the kind that recalibrates your soul back to peace. You're no longer afraid of your own company. You've become your own sanctuary, your own confirmation, your own compass. You've realized that the path was never about reaching something out there. It was always about returning to something in here, inside you, inside your knowing, inside your essence. You've always had what you needed. The delays and detours were not about testing your strength. They were about refining your focus. Fulfillment is not just having what you desire. It's recognizing that you've become someone who can hold it without fear of losing it. You are no longer the version of you who self-sabotages when things get good. You're not running from abundance anymore. You're not pushing away love. You're not hesitating to receive. Fulfillment requires receivership. And now, finally, you're open. Not just open in theory, but open in presence, in belief, in expectation. You wake up now expecting alignment, expecting peace, expecting opportunities to arrive without pressure. That's not ego, that's expansion. That's alignment with truth. Even your silence feels different. You're no longer silent because you're shrinking. You're silent because you're powerful, because you know that what's meant for you won't miss you, and what's not meant for you won't stay. You don't need to argue for your path. You don't need to defend your decisions. Your fulfillment is not up for debate. You've stepped into a realm where energy speaks louder than explanation. And your energy now says, I know who I am. I know where I'm going. And I'm not available for anything that tries to pull me back into versions I've outgrown. Fulfillment feels like ease, like stillness with purpose, like joy without explanation, like showing up to your own life and finally recognizing it as yours. Beautiful, tailored, designed with you in mind. You no longer envy anyone else's process because you are at peace with your own. You no longer look around and wonder, when will it be my turn? Because now, you know, this is your turn. And you're walking in it, step by step, with grace. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them speculate where your glow came from. You don't need to explain the transformation. Just live it. Fulfillment doesn't come with a press release. It comes with proof. And you are that proof. It might not feel like fireworks. It might not feel like the dramatic unveiling you always imagined. Sometimes, walking into fulfillment is as simple as waking up and not being at war with yourself anymore. It's not always about applause or arrival. It's about breathing easier. It's about no longer shrinking to survive. It's about realizing that peace is the loudest success you'll ever experience. You've stopped looking for yourself in other people. You've stopped outsourcing your worth to opinions and validation. Fulfillment reintroduces you to your own authority. It hands you the pen and says, write the next chapter on your terms. And this time, you do. You write it slowly, intentionally, not out of desperation, but out of clarity. The urgency is gone. You're not trying to fix anything anymore. You're just building, rooting, expanding. That's how you know you're not faking it. You're living it. Because fake fulfillment demands attention. Real fulfillment makes space. Real fulfillment doesn't need a stage. It just needs a heart that's finally beating without fear. And your heart has never sounded more alive. Every moment of stillness feels like a celebration now. Every small win feels monumental because you're not in a rush to prove anymore. You're just here, present, whole. There's a rhythm to this chapter, a softness in how you move, a reverence for how far you've come. You no longer curse the dark seasons. You see how they carved out space for the light. You no longer reject the pain. You recognize how it broke the parts of you that were never true to begin with. And now, you're not just healed. You're holy, you're aligned, you're ready. And as you walk further into your fulfillment, you'll find that the people who truly see you will rise to meet you. They won't drain you. They won't question your glow. They won't make you feel like you're too much. They'll celebrate your rise because they're rising too. That's the beauty of alignment. It attracts what is equal in energy. No more begging to be understood. No more explaining your evolution. You don't have to shrink into old stories to stay connected. The right connections meet you in the chapter you're in, not the one you left behind. You've left behind more than you ever told anyone. You've walked away from versions of yourself that nobody ever got to meet. And that is sacred. That is powerful. You've changed in silence. You've elevated in isolation. You've healed without an audience. And now you're re-emerging, not as a louder version of yourself, but as a truer one, as someone who no longer negotiates their peace for presence, as someone who no longer compromises identity for inclusion. Fulfillment demands authenticity, and you've finally arrived at the space where you can't tolerate your own lies anymore. You've stopped pretending you're okay when you're not. You've stopped settling for good enough when your spirit knows it was meant for divine. That's the threshold you've crossed, from tolerating life to creating it, from surviving circumstances to designing reality. Even the way you pray has changed. You don't beg anymore. You align. You don't plead. You declare. Because you know your connection is intact. You know the energy you carry is sacred. You're no longer questioning whether you're worthy of the blessing. You've remembered that you are the blessing. And with that knowing, you've become unstoppable. You don't get triggered by the same things anymore, not because they don't exist, but because you've outgrown the need to respond. You've become selective with your access, intentional with your energy. You don't hand out your presence to every situation that demands it. You understand now, peace is too precious to gamble with, and fulfillment is too sacred to explain to those who haven't tasted it. You no longer wait for signs. You are the sign. Your life is the evidence. Your journey is the roadmap. You've stopped obsessing over timelines and started trusting divine timing. You've stopped comparing chapters and started writing your own. And somehow, with every step, things just begin to click. The pieces that once didn't fit now fall perfectly into place, not because the puzzle changed, but because you did. You stopped chasing. You started attracting. You stopped begging. You started embodying. Fulfillment changes everything. Not because the world looks different, but because your eyes are finally open. You see value where others see lack. You see purpose where others see pain. You see potential in yourself where you once saw only flaws. You've stopped trying to prove your worth. You've started to live it. You've stopped trying to force clarity. You've become it. You've stopped waiting for love. You've allowed yourself to be the source of it. That's what walking into fulfillment does. It doesn't just fill the gaps in your life. It transforms you into someone who no longer sees life through the lens of lack. You wake up now with gratitude, not anxiety, with expectancy, not doubt. You go to sleep no longer questioning the journey. You rest, knowing the steps are sacred. You don't fear what's next. You flow toward it. You don't resist the unknown. You embrace it. Because your spirit has never been more prepared. Your energy has never been more aligned. You are not asking, will it happen, anymore. You are saying, It's already happening. You are not wondering if you're worthy. You are realizing you've always been. You're not scared of falling because you've learned how to rise again and again and again. You are a walking testimony of alignment, a breathing example of evolution, a living symbol of fulfillment. And this is only the beginning. This is not the end of the road. This is the start of a new reality, one where you are no longer waiting, wishing, or watching others. You are receiving. You are creating. You are owning your space in the divine blueprint. So breathe, smile, keep walking. Fulfillment is no longer a hope. It's your new normal. And you are walking in it now, fully, fearlessly, faithfully. Chosen one, do you feel it now? That subtle but unshakable shift inside of you. It's the way your body carries less tension, the way your voice holds more authority, the way your decisions feel rooted in truth, not fear. That's not a coincidence. That's fulfillment, reshaping the way you move through life. It's no longer something you chase. It's something you carry, something you emanate. You've become a vessel of completion, not because you have everything, but because you know you lack nothing. You don't ask time to hurry anymore. You don't ask life to prove itself. You've stepped out of the anxiety loop and into the rhythm of trust. You've stopped gripping the clock. You've stopped checking to see if it's too late. Because now, you know, you are on time. Right on time. Perfectly placed, perfectly aligned, perfectly present. The noise around you might still exist, but it doesn't shake you like it used to. You're not moved by surface chaos anymore. You can feel when something is meant for you and when it isn't, and that inner knowing keeps you grounded. You don't need to over-explain, over-plan, or overcompensate anymore. You're not operating from lack. You're not functioning from fear. You're flowing from fullness. That's what makes you so powerful now. Not because you're trying to be, but because you've become impossible to disturb. You've made peace your new foundation. You've made patience your new posture. You're not frantic. You're not desperate. You're aware, present, aligned. And from that space, everything starts to make sense. Even what used to confuse you, even what used to hurt. The same situations that once broke you now serve as reminders of how far you've come. You've stopped fearing your own story. You've stopped regretting your detours. You've stopped apologizing for the way your path unfolded. Now you honor it, all of it. The delays, the heartbreaks, the false starts. They were not wasted chapters. They were sacred edits. They were necessary adjustments. You weren't being denied. You were being delivered, slowly, intentionally, into a life that actually fits. You've stopped reaching for things just because they look good on paper. You've started asking, does this match my frequency? Does this honor who I've become? And if the answer is no, you walk away without guilt. That's a superpower. That's growth. That's fulfillment speaking for you before you even open your mouth. You're not walking into rooms hoping to be chosen. You are the presence that changes the room. People feel you before they see you now. Your energy enters first. Your peace announces you. Your clarity magnetizes. And the wildest part? You're not even trying. You're simply being. And that's more than enough. You don't chase closure anymore. You don't beg for explanations. You've learned that peace is worth more than answers. That forgiveness frees you, not them. That letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering who you are without being bound to who you were. That's what fulfillment allows. Emotional maturity, inner liberation, boundaries that don't burn bridges. They build altars for self-respect. You know now that not everyone can come with you, not because you've changed, but because they chose not to. And you no longer resent that. You bless them from a distance. You release them without anger, because fulfillment doesn't hoard. It trusts. It trusts that what stays is meant, and what leaves is growth. You no longer hold people hostage to your timeline. You allow life to unfold. Your focus has changed. You're not asking, "What can I get?" You're asking, "What aligns?" That question alone has saved you time, pain, energy. It has protected your heart from false connections. It has guarded your purpose from distractions disguised as opportunities. You no longer need everything. You only need what's true. And truth, that sacred, sometimes quiet, often inconvenient truth, has become your compass. You don't need directions from people anymore. You don't need approval. You listen to your own voice now. You trust it. You honor it. Even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable. There was a time when you ignored that voice. When you traded it for the comfort of being liked. When you silenced it so you wouldn't seem too much. But now, you've turned that voice into your anthem. It speaks through your posture. It echoes in your decisions. And every time you honor it, the universe responds. That's the new rhythm, the new dance, a life of resonance over resistance, a life where peace is the prize, where joy is the evidence, where alignment is the currency. And every time you trust that rhythm, even when it's quiet, even when it's slow, life opens, paths appear, people arrive, provision meets you where you are. You're not manipulating timelines anymore. You're not micromanaging miracles. You've learned how to rest and still receive, to be still and still be moving. Fulfillment doesn't scream, it whispers, and you've finally learned how to listen. And maybe that's the biggest transformation of all. You've become a listener, not just of others, but of yourself, of your body, your breath, your intuition, your peace. You're attuned now. You can feel when something is off, even when it looks perfect. You can sense when something is right, even when it comes wrapped in unfamiliar packaging. That sensitivity is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the evidence that you've evolved, that you've done the work, that you've traded the noise for knowing. And now, from that place of deep inner awareness, you're walking with a new kind of confidence. Quiet, humble, magnetic. You don't shout your plans, you embody them. You don't compete with noise. You shine in silence. You don't react, you respond. You don't seek fulfillment, you live it. And the world feels it, even when they can't explain it, even when they don't understand it. They feel the shift, because fulfillment can't be faked, and yours is real. This is it, chosen one. You made it. Not because everything is perfect, not because the storm stopped, but because you stopped being afraid of the rain, because you learned how to dance in it, because you realized the storm wasn't here to destroy you. It was here to cleanse you, to strip away what couldn't stay, to carve out space for what was always meant to arrive. And now you're here, not broken, rebuilt, not wounded, wiser, not confused, clear, not desperate, full. You are no longer living in the tension between who you were and who you're becoming. You are that becoming. You are the full version of every silent prayer. You are the echo of every sleepless night that said, "I will not quit." You are the manifestation of every tear that fell while no one was watching. You are the answer you didn't know would ever come. And the most beautiful part, you didn't rush it. You didn't force it. You didn't fake it. You waited. You surrendered. You healed. You honored the pauses. You learned from the detours. You chose peace over noise. You chose depth over distraction. And you chose to believe that the version of you hadn't met yet the strong one, the clear one, the fulfilled one, was real. And now that version is no longer a vision. It's your reality. You are living in the evidence that alignment works, that doing the inner work pays off, that choosing truth over comfort leads to liberation, that saying no to what drains you creates room for what fuels you. You are proof that boundaries are blessings, that time is not your enemy, that solitude is sacred, that what you lose on the journey is never greater than what you gain from walking it with integrity. Look at you now, moving with grace, speaking with power, choosing from peace. You are no longer just surviving your life. You are co-creating it with intention, with awareness, with reverence. You've stopped waiting for life to reward your struggle. You've started allowing life to respond to your alignment. That shift alone changed everything. You're not striving, you're surrendering, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Because you finally understand. Fulfillment doesn't arrive when everything outside is fixed. It arrives when everything inside is flowing. And now, the inside of you is a garden, not a battlefield. You don't need closure from people who don't know how to give it. You don't need applause from rooms that never saw you. You don't need permission to feel joy after all you've overcome. You are allowed to feel good now. You are allowed to enjoy your own glow. You are allowed to receive without guilt. You are allowed to walk in spaces where your name was never mentioned and know that you belong anyway. You are allowed to say, "I'm done," with stories that no longer serve you. You are allowed to live with both humility and pride. Pride in the fact that you didn't give up, even when it would have been easier. Fulfillment is not a trophy on a shelf. It's not a moment that everyone claps for. It's how you feel when you sit in silence and know, "I'm no longer chasing, I'm finally being." You feel it in your chest, in your breath, in the way you don't explain yourself anymore, in the way you no longer overstay where your soul is starving, in the way you walk away without resentment because you trust what's ahead. You trust yourself now. You trust your vision. You trust the process. You trust that if something doesn't feel aligned, it's not yours. And what is yours will rise to meet you. No chasing, no convincing, no begging. You've dropped the weight. You've reclaimed your energy. You've returned home to yourself. And now the life you're stepping into is a reflection of that return. Expect things to flow. Expect ease. Expect rest. Expect beauty in unexpected places. Expect that even when challenges come, you will not be shaken, because you are no longer reacting from fear. You are responding from wisdom. Expect love that doesn't confuse you. Expect support that doesn't require your exhaustion. Expect purpose that doesn't drain you. Expect miracles that don't ask for your perfection. And above all, expect fulfillment not just as a gift, but as your birthright. Because you didn't stumble here. You were led. You didn't beg for this. You became it. You didn't force the outcome. You aligned with the essence. This is your life now. The one where you are not waiting, but walking. Not doubting, but doing. Not hoping, but holding. So walk boldly. Walk slowly if you need to, but don't stop. Walk with the knowing that your spirit is rooted, that your future is sacred, that your presence is enough. You are not lost anymore. You are not hoping anymore. You are not wondering anymore. You are walking deeply, fully, consciously into fulfillment. And this time, you're not going back.